All right, so I figured I'd post my project. Never done this before, so bear with me. So I was looking around at sled decks online to try to figure out what other guys have done, and a lot of them had decks like this, but I couldn't figure out how to get my sleds up there because I don't have a forklift. I don't have any, a winch in the garage, so or a hoist. So I figured I wanted to use traditional ramps, but the problem I had was they weren't long enough, right? So this thing's 62 inches high. I have 11-foot ceilings. So I wanted to try to take up as much of the space as I could and just be able to slide them under, slide one under and pull one up with a winch onto the other, up to the top. So what I did was I basically bought these 11-foot beams at a supply warehouse. I couldn't find them on Marketplace because they only seem to sell 8 or 9 footers on Craigslist or Marketplace. So I bought these at a supply warehouse. Like I said, there were 75 a piece. I bought 4 of them. This bottom one will come out when the other sled slides under it, and then I'll just put it back on afterwards for stability. The uprights are 4 feet long or wide, which is perfect for a sled. I bought one 12-footer. I cut it down. I welded feet under the bottom. I put casters on it so I can roll it around the garage when I need to. And I, basically sanded it all down, painted it up. So the one issue I had with the way all the decks seem to be online is everybody's using pulleys or guys have forklifts. I don't have a forklift, and I didn't want to do the pulley routine. All I could see is the thing coming slamming down and something going wrong. So I just did a traditional ramp setup. The problem I had trying to find ramps is they all seem to be 72 inches long, and some are 10 feet, but they're $350. So when I did the angles, the ascent was too steep because I'm 62 inches high. I have 11-foot ceilings. So what I did was I basically took ramps or beams that you can buy on Marketplace for like 15 bucks each. They were 9 footers. I cut one in half to make it, to pull it up to 11 feet, and then I welded it together and made 3 ramps out of it so that I can pull it up with a winch that I just installed. So it should work. I haven't done it yet, so we'll see. You'll be the first. This setup here, so this was what I did for the ramps. I just basically built, the ramps will just slide right into each one, and then I have a 1/2-inch dowel, steel dowel I slide into each one of them to hold it in place while I'm loading it. And that's basically it. Then I took some Trex decking, the cheapest stuff I could find. It's grooved, so it works awesome for the skegs. When you're pulling the skis across them, so you don't have to worry about it coming off the deck if you have it misaligned. So next video is going to be pulling it up onto the deck itself. All right, thanks. All right, so everything worked out exactly as planned, so I couldn't be happier. So I figured what I'd do just to finish this up is just go through, for the guys that want to know a little more detail on how this thing was built. I'll go through some of that. So starting on this side here, again, these channels I built, it's just 1/8-inch angle iron that the decks just go right into. The tubing I put across is 1.5 inches. I think it's 1/8 inch as well. Again, I just drilled these holes out for the ramp so that it holds it in place so they don't kick out while I'm loading it. One thing, again, on all this pallet racking, it's seriously over-engineered this thing, right? Because these beams right here are 7-inch. I mean, it's severe overkill. It just happened to be what they had. You could go a lot less, I'm sure. You can do the numbers as far as the weight, but I think these things are rated to, like, I don't know, it's something like 22,000 pounds or something crazy, right? So, I mean, the Sled's 400 pounds, but again, it's what they had. If you have height issues in your ceiling, you might want to think about getting some thinner ones. I think 3-inch, you can do the numbers. I don't remember what the specs are on them, but the 3-inch ones would probably be better. These, again, are 7-inch, so with that, again, so this is just 1/8-inch square tubing. When you cut these rails in half, you buy these uprights in 12-foot sections, is what the guys were selling them on Marketplace around here for anyway, for 75 bucks. When you do that, you have to cut them in half, right? So you shear them off here, but what ends up happening is these support beams end up being in the wrong places, so you'll have to come in and cut some of these out and then weld them back in to the right place. So I had to do that down at the other end, you know, just to make sure that from a stability standpoint, right? So that was that. The only issue I had with this whole thing is when the cable was being hoisted from, or the cable was being dragged back, cable started chewing up the ramp. So I'm probably gonna just put a piece of wood or Trex something there, something sacrificial that I can replace every once in a while if the cable starts tearing the thing up, and just pull it out, put a new one in place. But since the angle's coming down, there's no way it's stopping the winch from doing that. So again, that's all that. Underneath, all I did was just throw these channels in these pallet racks are all I think it's 1.5 inches, so the 2x4s fit in there fine. You can put 2x6s in there. I wasn't worried about the weight too much across these, because I'll show you in a little bit on. I actually put some square tubing underneath the sled for. So realistically, these things are doing nothing more than just when I'm loading the rack up, because all the weight comes off them afterwards, and I'll get into that in a second. So again, I just lined them up. No rhyme or reason. I just kind of spaced them out. I had 1 million of these things sitting in my garage, so I just started cutting them up to length and put them across. All right. Now I put 3/4-inch decking up on the top. You can see here what I was just talking about. I have my sled lift. I just took the wheels off the sled lift to get the sled up off the ground for the summer. I took the wheels off. I just slid 1/4-inch that tubing again. I think it's 1.5 inches. I bought it allmetalsinc.com. I think it was 89 or 90 bucks shipped. I'm sure you can do better somewhere else. They didn't have any at Home Depot or Lowe's, so I just bought it and bit the bullet on it. But you can see I pull it off, and what ends up happening, what you really want to try to do is, in my opinion, is get the weight to rest on these beams, because that's really what the thing's designed for, right? So doing that means all the plywood, the only time that's even sitting on the plywood, the weight is during the loading process. Then it comes off with these tubes. And I work around here, put a Harbor Freight 110 volt winch on there. I think it was 160 bucks. I was gonna do a hand winch for like 13 bucks that I actually bought, and I was like, at this point, the hell with it. I just bought it so that it makes it easier for me, so I can do it myself. Again, this is just regular angle iron. I put a mount on it. If you notice, everything I did, I bolted, only because I'm sure you don't have to do it if you know how to weld. I'm horrible at welding. I'm still learning, so I don't trust myself. So everything I did, I bolted. I bolted as well. So, and these beams here, like I said, these cross beams right here, they're not in the right location when you cut these 12-foot beams in half. So if you don't want to weld those up, you got to get 2 12-footers, cut them down, and do something with the other 6 feet. But at the end of the day, it's very easy. I just cut them out with a cutting wheel and welded them back in. Down below, I got some casters. They're 5-inch. I think they're rated for 330 pounds from Harbor Freight. Lord knows what the real capacity is on it, but I'm assuming the sled weighs 400 pounds, so, you know, 3 times 4 is over 1,200 pounds on, you know, I don't know how much this thing weighs. It started to weigh a lot, the deck itself, when I started loading up with the wood and the plywood and all. But at any rate, I couldn't be happier with the way it all worked out again. Everything I bought local at Home Depot or Lowe's, and just welded everything up, and it worked out fine. As far as the ramps go, I wanted to show you that. So it's the same thing. I just put the Trex decking down just as a guide to go up. It worked fantastic, actually. You don't have to worry about the thing swinging left or right. It just, the skegs just lock into one of the grooves, and it just works. Then I just took some spare plywood, 3/4 inch plywood I had, and put it down the middle for the track so that it had a little more width. The beams themselves are 5-inch beams. Like I was talking about, they just, again, you buy these on Marketplace for cheap, right? So I think I paid $15 for 8 or 9 footers. And what I did, like I said before, was, don't make fun of my welds, I know they're horrendous. I didn't even weld the bottom of this one. I just basically pieced them together, bolted them, hit them with a little bit of weld on the side so that it can't go anywhere. But this is a cheap way out. I mean, $15 a piece. I mean, the other way that you could do it was get 2x6s or 2x8s and start putting angle iron across them. But I think at the end of the day, this will work great. They're heavy as hell, so my plan is to just really use these things twice a year, right? I mean, I'll just have me and my kid just bring them into the basement and stack them down there for the storage. One thing I did do on this was when you go to mount them up on those channels that I talked about, where it mounts up and the dowels slide through, I did the math, and with a 62-inch rise and an 11-foot long, these are 11 feet as well. The angle it comes to, I think it was like 25 degrees was the angle that it ended up being, the ascent angle. So, which is perfect, right? I don't think I would want to go much steeper than where I'm at 25 degrees. So you can see I just cut it at 25 degrees and it slides right into that channel perfect. Other than that, it's pretty much it. I couldn't be happier. Everything is working as planned. All right, it's my first video, so if you guys like it, hit the like button. If you got any comments or questions, let me know. Thanks.